Last video, I said this. My big problem is not floodgates in and of themselves. It's when people build their decks specifically around these floodgates and rely solely on sitting on them. And it becomes a really big problem when the deck is actually good. There's actually a pretty significant amount of branded players that have this kind of mindset. Just a few weeks ago, I saw this post. If Sanctifier gets banned, how's this as a backup plan? And it's a screenshot of a give and take. The effect is special summon one monster from your graveyard to your opponent's side of the field and increase the level of one of your monsters by the level of the monster summoned until the end of the turn. The basic idea is to send Gimmick Puppet to the graveyard and then revive it with this card. So the plan is to rely on a non-searchable, non-archetypal trap card to still use the lock. That's if Sanctifier is banned. That sounds like a horrible idea. I've seen several posts similar to that, to where if Sanctifier gets banned, run X card to still lock your opponent under Gimmick Puppet. Hey, I have a much better idea. How about, crazy idea of this, very crazy idea of this, I know, but how about just not run the Gimmick Lock? Another type of post that I've seen is, if Sanctifier is banned, the deck is dead. You know, as if the Gimmick Lock was holding the deck up. Both these posts usually happen around banless season. And actually, the strange part is, the Gimmick Lock isn't holding the deck up. I've been playing without the lock for months now, and I seem to be doing fine without it. The only reason why I'm running the Gimmick Puppet lock now is to prepare for the WCQ. You know, just as an option to go into. The deck has an incredibly high ceiling, even without the Puppet lock. It's been relegated to Gimmick Puppet Turbo by the community who really don't know how to play the deck without it. They think that the Gimmick Lock is the absolute win con of the deck. The Gimmick Lock is a win con of the deck, but it's not the win con of the deck. And I think it's a disservice to the deck to treat it as such. I've shown the line where you can basically turbo out the Gimmick Lock turn 1. I think ending the turn on Sanctifier and Grand Google. I don't quite remember. But after taking the lock out, I realized that's not the most efficient way to play the deck. Most of the time now, I'm ending on Mirror Jade, regardless of if I'm going to Gimmick Puppet lock or not. If I don't have the Puppet lock, cool, I'm sending Ad Libitum so that I can go into Guardian Chimera and have a second Mirror Jade. If I have the lock, cool, I'm going into it. And what makes or breaks the lock is having Fallen of Albaz in the graveyard. If I can't get Fallen of Albaz into the graveyard, then I'm not going to the Gimmick Lock. Or at least keep it in the graveyard, I should say. Because Fallen of Albaz is going to the graveyard, but it's not staying there half the time. I've made several comments in this forum I'm a part of about how the Gimmick Lock shouldn't be the be-all win-con of the deck. And it should really be looked at as an option to go into. Every time I make that comment, I get several people commenting that I'm wrong and that the Gimmick Lock is the only reason why the deck is topping still. Like, it wasn't like Branded was a god-awful deck before the lock. It was still a pretty decent deck. Like, just threatening Mirror Jade was enough to Ash a Branded Fusion. Banishing a key combo piece is still pretty good. As an ABC player, I can confirm this. While I'm on the subject, Mirror Jade is just ABC Dragon Buster 2.0 and you can't change my mind. I was recently talking to someone who wanted to build Branded about what he should do to build it. At this point, if you want to build Branded, just wait for the tins. Quem and Sanctifier are more than likely getting a reprint in the tins, so just wait for that. Then you can get the deck for cheap. When you first play the deck, I don't recommend playing the Gimmick Puppet lock. All that does is just makes you reliant on turboing it out, and it's not teaching you about how non-linear the deck is. Once you become proficient without lock, then you can include it. The deck becomes a lot more interesting without the lock, and it's very playable without it. It's really more of a test of skill of the person piloting it. My name is Vincent. Goodbye.